So there's been some recent concern as news has spread that the Trump administration, the Trump admin specifically, has targeted and hired up to date around 2,000 quote unquote gamers to fill air traffic controller jobs. Now, when people hear this, they probably think they just, hired some gamers off the street and just put them into this position. Now, I was a little concerned too when I heard that as well, but it's really not that simple. Now, what they're doing is they've specified that they're targeting gamers to recruit, but these recruitment, those that have been recruited have to go through basically a recruitment process through the ATC Academy, which is the Air Traffic Controller Academy. So it doesn't necessarily mean that those that have been recruited will actually pass through the course and actually become air traffic controllers. There are reasons for targeting gamers, and I'm not quite sure. I haven't looked too much into this. I don't really know 100% what their qualifications are as far as why they chose or have chosen gamers specifically, but it's probably because those who are I don't even know if they're choosing gamers at the highest level of gaming. But I pray that because I've read somewhere where they're kind of pushing these guys through to fill these positions. And I just pray that that's not the case. I pray that they're doing their due diligence and making sure that they go through the full process so that if they are selected, it's because they've earned it. But yeah, I remember watching the testimony of a guy who used to be an air traffic controller. And he basically said, when a young guy came up to him and asked him about the position, he just looked at him and said, listen, just choose anything else. Don't choose this position. Do anything else, because it tends to be such a soul draining job. And also it's rated as one of the most stressful jobs in this country. And the weight of that job is so heavy. But yeah. 2,000 gamers. I don't like how they put that. That just sounds ridiculous, right? Because when we think about gamers, we're thinking about guys that are living with their parents in the basement playing video games. Now, I don't expect that the majority of these 2,000 are going to make it through the full process, because I think the thing that's going to be the main concern here is discipline. Now, do gamers have the level of discipline needed to attain to that level in order to get that certificate? That's the question. So we shall see. But I know that position is extremely difficult, extremely stressful, and the weight of what that position holds, like the power you have. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but literally the ability to cause just a unfound amount of destruction with one error. That's a heavy weight. And that's why the suicide rate is extremely high amongst these guys. Job is no joke.
They say, and I don't know if this is true or an urban legend, but air traffic controllers are prone to suicide, and most do not live very long. Can you imagine? Someone working at the Atlanta airport, or Dallas, or Charles de Gaulle Airport, or Dulles in Washington. The pressure of having to position all those planes correctly where they're flying and taking off and coming in. Being concerned about one error could cost countless lives. Those men don't last very long at that job. They say they receive a great deal of pay and probably not enough. Christ does this with planets. And not just planets, with atoms. All at one time. Everything. Thus the universal balance is preserved, the derangement of which would throw around the globe a pall of death. Order is never violated. The tree yields fruit after its kind and according to the original edict. Now I want to say two things here. The derangement of which would throw around the globe the pall of death. How worried would you be if you knew the destiny of all of creation lay in your hand for a day? It'd be enough to drive you mad. Now imagine that every moment it's in your hand. Then think of Christ. The power that flows out from Him to sustain the universe, and then the wisdom that comes from Him to direct the universe. And now here's the thing. He is not exhausted. He does it effortlessly. Now think about that. It doesn't even bother Him. It's not a concern. It doesn't drain Him. It does not make Him mentally tired. That's why when we say that He is omniscient, that He knows everything, that He knows it exhaustively and He knows it without effort. He does not have to go to the books. He does not have to do a logical procession of thinking in His mind. He just knows it. There's no effort.